AskReddit by Imogen Assinger. What's something that seems fun, but is actually terrible? Van life. Someone called it the gentrification of homelessness, which is hilarious. Down by the river. Renting a paddle boat. You see them sitting there and think it would be nice to get out on the water, but you quickly realize that it's a very inefficient way to power a boat and you just return to the dock 20 minutes after you set off. Even better when you do it with your family and your wife and kids decide they can't use the pedals. So you become their sweaty water chauffeur. Living in a little village on a mountain. Everything is super expensive, and everyone's an alcoholic. Living in Big Bear currently. This is my life lol. Additionally, no one local leaves their home, so almost everyone you meet in town is gonna be a tourist. If you don't work for the resorts or in the service industry, good luck making friends lol. Being in bed all day. Maybe fun once in a while. Not fun when it's every day. Chronic illness. Accurate. Only fun by choice. Having sex in a bath or jacuzzi. Also beach sex. It's just sand everywhere. Waterboarding in Guantanamo Bay. It sounds incredible as long as you don't know what either of those things are. I remember this comment. I still bust it out whenever I can. Sometimes I even tell people I didn't make it up. Going out to a bar on I. Ugh, I would rather eat glass than do that. Becoming an adult. 2/10. Do not recommend. Food fights. I don't think that's been a thing, except in movies, for many decades. Going out on New Year's Eve. I used to like it, but sadly I'm getting too old for that shit. Now I just make myself a huge feast and drink a lot at home with my family. Much more relaxing. Raising babies. Yeah, you live for those giggles and cute photo ops, but man, it is literally a shit show. I love my daughter and she's worth the trouble, but they weren't kidding when they said it doesn't get easier. After the period of constant fear of SIDS, fucked up sleep schedules, colic, having a baby basically glued to you for the first months, when they learn more and become more destructive, you can't go anywhere without constant monitoring so they don't hurt themselves, others or break everything. Can't wait to unlock more new challenges. Living off-grid. People who fantasize about living remote really have no concept of how difficult the necessities are to acquire and maintain, nor do they understand the consequences of being lazy. Clubbing. Didn't get it my late teens, didn't get it in my 20s, don't get it in my 30s. Extremely loud music, you're all crammed up, you're charged for pretty much everything, you're sold expensive watered down drinks that you have to constantly monitor, and you walk out late looking for any food that tends to be cold and overpriced. Edit. Spelling. Drugs. Clubbing makes no sense until drugs. For me it's concerts. I do enjoy staying at first, but I feel really drained pretty fast afterward. Yep, same. Probably an unpopular opinion subject, but concerts kinda suck. Must be an introvert thing. Owning your own business. My friends Kyle, Stan, Kenny and Eric say ziplining. They are correct. Oh god, baking certain kinds of cakes. It's all fun and games when you are craving cake and excited to start baking. It is not fun when you are still working your way through the 45-step process 10 hours later. I made a strawberry cake from scratch earlier this year and oh my god. It took ages, cooked down the strawberries to flavor the sponge and the icing, whipped the icing from scratch, and everything. In the end the cake was way too sweet. Bread is like this with fewer steps, at least starting out. So much waiting around to see if you murdered all your yeast again, or starved them, or left most of them asleep, And then once you manage that part, you can find out if you even like the bread your recipe makes. And that your oven cooks 15 degrees too hot or too cold when it's set below 350 degrees. I do still like baking though. It's just rougher starting out because, like you say, it's such a time sink to check your work. Cooking you know before you're halfway done most of the time, even if you never cooked the thing before in your life. Carving pumpkins. I had never done it, but I always wanted to. So when I was older I bought one and tried to carve it. It wasn't as easy as everyone on TV made it seem. It was smelly and messy, there was pumpkin's guts all over the carpet, and I despise being sticky. Same goes for building and decorating gingerbread houses. Pumpkin carving hack, use a power drill. Much easier than a knife. Cuts easy and can make curved shapes. Riding a galloping horse. Drinking. Not pulling out. It's fun as hell, unless she gets pregnant. Spending the day at Disney World. It's overcrowded, overpriced, and you stand in long lines for everything. I went when I was about 10 years old and literally the only thing I remember was how bad the lines were. It was insane to sit in line for 2 hours to do a 3-minute ride. Assholes allow way too many people in. Being too skinny. Every seat not heavily padded hurts. Having a work phone. Fighting on top of a speeding train. You're doing it wrong. You need a good stunt double.